All right, we're looking at the Mona Singh case study. Let's scroll down and read the first question. Based on Statement 1 and Exhibit 1, a monetary tightening policy will most likely be pursued in country A, B, or C. All right, so we're looking at Exhibit 1. Let's read until we get there. Mona Singh is a senior economic analyst at an international research firm. She is attempting to forecast the long-run potential GDP growth rates for 3 developing countries, A, B, and C. Singh would also like to determine how a stock market valuation can be performed using GDP growth rate data and how this data can be used to forecast central bank action. She has collected data from the 3 countries, Exhibits 1 and 2. So we've got data relevant to stock market valuation for the 3 countries, actual GDP growth for 2010, forecasted for next year, forecasted inflation, and potential GDP growth. After compiling the data, Singh engages Petra Rourke, her junior analyst, in a discussion and makes the following comment. Statement 1, which is what we were looking for here. A comparison of potential and actual GDP growth rates will provide insight into the interest rates demanded by investors, the direction of bond price movements and inflation expectations. Furthermore, the central bank's likely course of action can be forecasted. So that's what we're looking at here related to monetary policy. So who's going to tighten? When we're looking at potential GDP and actual GDP, we're going to be more likely to tighten when actual is greater than potential. So for A, we're at 4.5, where potential is only at 1.5. So that's a potential case of where we might want to be tightening. And what this is essentially telling us is that the economy is running really hot. If our potential is only 1.5 growth, but we're growing at 4.5, the economy is running really, really hot. So it's more likely that inflation will creep in. And in order to kind of counteract that, the Fed, or central bank, if you're outside the US, will be more likely to tighten and raise rates in order to kind of slow the economy and make sure inflation doesn't get out of control. And then for B, we've got actual growth below potential growth, so we should be good there. We won't need to tighten. And then same thing for C. We're at 2.8 relative to 3.6. So it looks like we'll be going with country A. And for those kind of reasons mentioned before, we want to make sure the economy doesn't get growing too fast. Question 2. Based on Statement 1 and Exhibit 1, country B will least likely experience a rise in. So we're going to experience a rise in 2 of these, but should not experience a rise in 1 of them. So Statement 1 again, let's reread that, even though we did it for the last question. A comparison of potential and actual GDP growth rates. So we're going to be looking at this and this for this question. Will provide insight into the interest rates demanded by investors, the direction of bond price movements, and inflation expectations. Furthermore, the central bank's likely course of action can be forecasted. So when we're at actual GDP growth below potential GDP growth, that means our economy isn't performing as well as it should or could be. So in that type of scenario, central bank course of action is likely going to be to lower rates. So in that scenario, looking at these answers, if we're lowering rates, what's that going to do? So if rates go down, bond prices have an inverse relationship to rates. So if rates go down, bond prices are going to go up. So we will experience a rise in bond prices, more likely than not. So we can rule out A. B, nominal interest rates. Counteractive to what we just talked about for A, nominal interest rates are more likely to go down than they are to increase, since the central bank will more likely to be stimulative to try and close this gap or hold things how they are. So I think B is probably our front runner right now. And then C, expected real asset returns. We can expect real asset returns to rise because our GDP growth should pick up to kind of get towards that potential as we stimulate. So I think we can confidently stick with answer B here. Question 3. Based on the data presented in Exhibit 2, the impact of diminishing marginal returns on capital was lowest in country A, B, or C. All right, so we've read all the way down to here. Let's take a look at this exhibit and look at the impact of diminishing marginal returns. And diminishing marginal returns being the lowest means that returns are still kind of providing us good return. Once they start diminishing, that would kind of start to look like this, where our additional returns might not be bringing us in as much growth here. So we've got growth in labor productivity and growth due to capital deepening. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be taking these two figures, and we're going to provide a ratio. So we're going to take that growth due to capital deepening and then growth in productivity labor, and we're going to divide those. And so the higher percentage is suggesting that these capital investments are still providing substantial productivity gains. And so a higher number is better, and essentially means that we're having less diminishing marginal return. And so we want to go with the highest number. A, we've got 91%. B, we have 80%, and C, we have just about 85%. So we'll be going with answer A for question 3. Question 4, based on statement 2, the investment activity in country C will most likely fall, rise, or remain unchanged. So we left off at Exhibit 2, and let's read these last couple paragraphs. Singh is aware that labor productivity growth affects earnings growth and influences investment decisions. She is also aware that in the long run, technological advancement is necessary to secure long-term growth. During her discussion with Rourke, Singh makes 2 more comments. Statement 2. While countries A and B presently exhibit high labor productivity growth rates, I anticipate their growth rates to slow down and forecast a permanent increase in the growth rate of country C. So we're getting a permanent increase in the growth rate of country C. So based on this, what is the investment activity in country C most likely to look like? So if we're expecting increased growth, what that's going to do is that's going to flow through to company earnings. So we're going to see more growth in company earnings. When we see company earnings growth, that's typically going to lead to increased stock prices. And with those increased stock prices and the increased earnings growth, investors like to see earnings and that growing. So it's going to be more likely that investment activity is also going to increase. So we'll be most likely to fall, unlikely, rise, yes, or C, remain unchanged. Unlikely, it's more likely that it's going to rise. And those growth rates should attract more investors. Answer B.